Welcome back, traders and investors, to Benzinga's pre-market prep, brought to you by MarketFile. I'm your co-host Joel Alconin, along with Brianna Valesky, and we have Tony LaPorta on the line. And he is a trader at Simpler Futures. He's been active in the futures industry for 36 years. He's done some floor trading. Tony, how you doing today?
Best day of my life.
Best day of your life. I have to agree to that as well. Uh, Give us a little bit of your education and your background, and how you ended up on the floor and what exchange were you at.
Well, I basically graduated with a marketing degree in 1978, and January of 1979, I'm standing in a bar on the south side of Chicago, and ran into an old poker playing buddy from high school. And obviously, 1979, we didn't have Facebook or any of that, so after you went away to college, you didn't keep in touch with your friends. They were, and I run into this guy, and he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm looking for some sales job." He says, "I know what you want to do the rest of your life." I went to college. He went to the Chicago Board of Trade, and he pulled me to the side, and he'd been there for 4 years, and he pulled me to the side, and he said, "One thing I'm going to tell you is." You're going to go down there. You put in applications. You'll get a job as a runner. It's $100 a week. That's where everyone starts, and you will learn quickly. You'll be sent into different types of jobs and everything. And there will come a time in your career where you will have the opportunity to be dishonest, shall we say? And if you get caught being dishonest, they kick you out of the game. So don't steal. Don't be dishonest. Learn the game. It's a great game, and that's a lesson I took for the last 30 some years. There were opportunities to be dishonest, and I did it. And I started on the floor of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and in 1982, I was offered a job to work on the London International Financial Futures Exchange, which where I ended up spending 12 years, and they were 12 fantastic years, just brilliant, loved it, and I still have very dear English friends, and still have people involved in the market.
Yeah, there's a lot of camaraderie from people that have worked on the floor. So you went from the floor and you become a successful screen trader. Is there anything that you learned on the floor that's translated in your successes trading in front of a screen?
Well, what I learned, and I learned this quickly in screen trading, is who is my competition? Because basically, being a pit trader, you're a scalper. I mean, you're a scalper. A long-term position was a 5-minute position. But in the mid '90s, I'm on the Life Exchange and I'm trading the German Bund, and it was tight. It was real tight in there, and there were a lot of hungry young traders. And all of a sudden, I'm 39, 40 years old, and I don't want to take a beating anymore. But from the first day I walked on the floor of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, I started taking technical analysis classes. I just loved what everything that was on offer. And I taught myself how to trade, and I eventually left the pit because I didn't want to take the physical beating that went along with being in the pit, where you had the right above your head and getting crushed. And I didn't want to take it anymore. So what I took out of the pit and to screen trading was I quickly learned that they are two completely different jobs. As a pit trader, you traded with the paper. You got the edge with the paper. As a screen trader, you are the paper. There was no more edge. And what you have to learn, what I preach to today, and I work with traders. I have lots of clients. What I preach today about is having rules in place. You have to have trading rules in place. So many new traders out there, and I don't care what they're trading, futures, options, they don't have any trading rules in place. My number one trading rule is you don't lose your backside on a Friday. And guess what happened? Friday, we had a 60 handle range in the E-mini S&Ps. There was a real good chance you could have lost your backside on a Friday. And that's my number one rule. And I'll go a little bit further with my Friday rule. There's 7 days in the week. Just in a normal week, there's 7 days in a week. Do you know the Japanese tsunami hit on a Friday?
Well, a lot of things happen in the markets over the weekend, and a lot of things happen on that. But that's a great point. So was it a rough transition? I mean, from the pit where you're getting the edge, or did your technical analysis, help you out and make it go a little bit smoother?
It was in all honesty, I never lost a step. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. More than anything, I mean, I basically left the pits, around 03, 04. But you know, I got sober in '03, and all of a sudden I had clarity, and and it was I when you're working on the floor, most of us are A-type people anyhow. You're trading with ego, everything ego. Look at how my car's nicer than your car, my house is nicer than your house. And when you take ego out of the game, it's a whole new game. I preach to my readers all the time. Obama is not the problem. Yellen is not the problem. Draghi is not the problem. China is not the problem. I am the problem. The problem is the 5-inch gap in between my ears. Sort that problem out, and Mr. Market will throw money at you.
Yeah.
And a big thing I've been teaching at the moment is, with the volatility in the markets that we are seeing, there's no reason to have any more than one or two positions on. And I don't care what you're trading. I have 30-some years experience. Right now, as we speak, I have one position on. One. And there's people in here with 2-3 years experience. I was just in a trade room at the Simpler Options trade room, and I'm like, who has more than 4 positions on? Half the room had more than 4. And they don't have 4 years experience. How can you manage 4 positions in this kind of volatility? It goes back
speaks for himself.
Having rules. That's my aim number one, having rules.
All right, so besides not losing your backside on a Friday, what are some of your other rules?
Don't add the losers. That's the greatest. I never have a problem adding to a winner. But if I have what I would consider my maximum, I will scale into a position, which means I'm technically adding to a loser. But if my limit position, if my position on a given market is I want to buy 20 contracts, and when I get 20 contracts on, if that trade's a loser, I do not add to it anymore. I do not trade any other market. I will manage that position because I didn't get into the position, because I thought I was wrong. I got into the position, because that's the way I wanted to be. And I'll give you a typical example. I wrote in my weekend commentary that I wanted to be long the dollar index this week. That's my trade this week. I haven't traded the dollar in quite some time. That's my trade this week. And I want to trade up to 20 contracts, maybe $25 index. So last night I bought 13 contracts, 1-3. I trade crazy numbers. My birthday's 7/11. I trade 7s, 11s, 13s. I'd never have an even position on. Hey, I'm a pitcher and I'm supposed to be crazy.
Okay.
And so I bought $13 index, probably at an average price of around 96.01, 96.02. And I put in a catastrophic stop and went to bed. And when I woke up this morning, they were trading 95.50 or something like that. So I bought my other 8 contracts because I wanted to get 20 on. I just didn't want to have 20 on overnight. And I bought my other 8 contracts at 95.61. So my average is basically 95.87. I wasn't adding to a loser because I didn't have my whole position on. But if I would have bought 20 contracts last night, I would not have bought any more.
Okay.
Adding to a loser, if it was I always like to say, if it was a good buy at 50,
Yeah.
then it must be a great buy at 40, and then it's good buy BYE at 30.
Okay. Good rules here. So what are your technical indicators? What types of charts do you use?
I use day charts, and I don't, and only because I'm colorblind, I don't use candles. It wasn't that terribly long ago where I never even realized that the bars on my charts were red and green. And I use day charts. My charts are delayed. I have live quotes on my order entry platform, but my charts are delayed. I don't look at 10-minute charts, 5-minute charts, but I'm a swing trader. And what I really use, I look at the whole picture. and the whole picture. That includes gold and the bonds. I mean, I'm a huge bond. I traded bonds, and I've been patient for 3 weeks, wanting to sell into this bond rally. And I was a little bit premature on Friday. Got out near the highs, and then got back in. And I've been running a short in the bond. I got out on Friday, but I've sold a few rallies this morning here in the bonds and made a little bit of money, and now I'm sitting there patient. But my new trade this week is being long the dollar.
All right. You do have some specific stops, obviously, and do you go with targets, or if you get something going your way, you just try and roll those stops up, maybe with a trailing target?
Okay, so you're not going to want to hear this, and new traders, this is really bad advice. But people will ask me, "Where's your stop?" And the first thing I'll say to them is, "What makes you think I'm wrong?" And they don't understand. And then they'll say, "Well, where's your target?" And it's like, well, how can I have a target? I have an area that I like, but let's say you're short the S&Ps and you have a target of 5 handles lower, and someone shoots the president. Guess what? You took 5 handles and you left 55 on the table. So I don't have a target because I let the market tell me when it's time to get out. I let the pain barrier tell me, you know what? I've taken enough pain. It's time to stop myself out of this trade.
You like to write about the markets. Do you think that helps you with your trading? Does it help you formulate a plan?
I missed the first part of that. Sorry.
You write about the markets. Does that help your trading, kind of help you formulate? You said you did something over the weekend. Is that where you get your trading ideas from your writing?
100%. You are spot on, 100%. I tell my clients all the time, I should be paying you because I have clients and because I do a lot of chart work and I write, every 5 days a week I write about the markets. My clients force me to do my homework. And that is one of the keys in this industry. You have to be doing your homework. You have to be doing your homework. And especially a lot of the people that I deal with are people who have been in other careers. And they decide, I was really good at this, making $150,000 a year or $200,000 a year. Why can't I be a trader? Why can't I do that? And they walk into the computer with this big ego in their checkbook, and before you know it, they're on their back going, did anyone get the license plate of that truck that just ran me over? They don't do their homework. They think. I tell people all the time, what makes you think you can walk into my playground and take my money? I do my homework every day, and I preach to my readers, you need to do your homework too.
All right, we're getting to a question in the chart here. I mean, you've already said don't lose your backside on Friday. Do your homework. What other advice would you give to someone that's, interested in starting trading? What else would you say to them?
Well, you have to have a financial target, financial goal on a daily basis. And believe me when I tell you this right now, if I left the trading pit every day for however many years I was in the pit, 25 years, if I left the trading pit every day by 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning and walked away and came back the next day, I would be a gazillionaire. You cannot be right all day long. It is impossible to be right all day long. And we are at our best when we're rested and we're, so basically what I tell my people, so let's say you have a financial target, you want to make $1,000 a day. When you get to $1,000, I don't care if it's 8:30 in the morning, turn the machine off and go enjoy your life, because we can become addicted to this game. And I just got an email over the weekend, Tony, I just broke the number one rule. I had my $500 target made on Friday by 8 o'clock in the morning. I had 500 and I was just going for another 100, and I finished the day down 1,500. And it's like, that's why there's rules in place. You have to have rules in place. If you have a financial target of $1,000, I like to use the third, and you're feeling good about yourself because, you made 4 trades and you're doing really well and you're seeing the market well and you're up your $1,000. That's your target. you have to have, like, I call it the 35% rule. If you give back 35% of that money, you have to turn the computer off. Because if you don't, your next trade is, well, I got to get my $350 back. And then you're in your head. This game is all about keeping your head screwed on straight. Because if you're trading futures, it's a 50-50 shot. You either buy them or sell them. The problem is the 5-inch gap in between my ears. I am the problem. So you have to have, the biggest thing is rules. Rules. And if you can make money today and then you make money tomorrow, and by the time you're going into Friday, let's say you're up $4,500, and you're like, well, that's it. I don't even want to trade on Friday. I've made my objective for the week. And then you make money next week, and you make more money the week after that. And all of a sudden, you're up money 3 weeks in a row, and all of a sudden, you look at your profit and loss statement, and you're going, wow, wow, and your head's in the game. And then you wake up every day in that good frame of mind, and away we go again. Let's make some more money, and you know it. You just know it's there for you.
Have you done any stock trading, or do you stick with the futures?
A little bit. I had a dear friend. He was my pit clerk in London, an American kid who actually married an English girl, and he told me, I don't know, 4 years ago, buy Cheniere Energy. Didn't even know who Cheniere Energy was. The stock was $18 a share. Buy Cheniere Energy. 6 months later, 12 months later, whatever it was, the stock's $28. He says, buy Cheniere Energy. I told him, I said, I'm a futures trader. I don't trade the stock. So finally it's up to $40 a share. I buy Cheniere Energy. I bought it. And I bought quite a few thousand shares. In 2 weeks, the stock went up to $50. 2 weeks. And I had to take the profit. It was a 25% return on investment in 2 weeks. And I took the profit, and where did it go? To 86 or something like that. I'm sitting there kicking myself in the backside, but that was my stock trading. So I'm not good at it. I'm not good at it because, you just have that idea that, wow, this thing has run 10%. I'm going to take my profit, because that's what we were kind of taught, And that's not the way you trade stock. You have to buy and hold. Warren Buffett never took a 10% profit on any stock.
No, that great tips here coming from Tony LaPorta. He's a trader at Simpler Futures, and he's simply telling the way it is and his perspective from being on the floor, his rules for trading. Tony, great input. We really enjoy having you on, as well as other people at Simpler Trading. You guys are great. We hope to have you back on again soon.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the time, and like I tell everyone, if today's not the best day of your life, then you're doing something wrong. And you don't have to be making money for it to be the best day of your life.
Right.
We're all going to die someday, but all the other days we're not going to die. So make all those other days the best day of your life.
Okay.
Thank you.
Philosophical words coming from Tony. Thank you very much.